Hello, and welcome to the session where we're going to be chatting about leveraging user research to guide your monetization strategy. My name is Jenny Pollock, and I'm the lead subscription monetization manager at Together Labs. I'll be your guide for this session. I've got over a decade of experience in marketing and monetization, from big companies to small. I've been at Fortune 500 to that super tiny startup, so I know where you're coming from. We're going to cover how to unlock user spend by providing real value to your users. We're also going to talk about how to take that and use it to guide your product roadmap and therefore your monetization strategy. Those two things, when connected, are really powerful. And yes, we're going to need both qualitative and quantitative research. We're going to walk away from this session with tactics to gain a better understanding of what will compel your users to hand over their money month over month, which is what we're all here to do, right? So, quick background on Together Labs. What we're doing is focusing on developing technologies to help people connect, create, and earn in virtual worlds, redefining social media as a catalyst for authentic human connection. I think one of the important things is focusing on that value that we're giving to our users globally and looking at that. While I'm looking at the monetization strategy with my team, we make sure we can provide value to each and every one of those users, and that's how we capture the revenue. The team that I lead at Together Labs is focused on driving revenue across mobile, desktop, and annuity offerings for MView, a top 5 grossing social app. Last year, we expanded our subscription program, which is called VIP, from desktop with one price point to mobile, and we also tiered the offering. So now we've got 3 price points. As we were working on that, that's how I came up with my 4-step framework to leverage user research to get the monetization strategy sorted out. We're all here in the tech industry at App Promotion Summit and in our current roles to unlock user spend. There's a famous quote that comes to mind. The best minds of my generation are thinking about how to make people click ads, said Jeffrey Hammerbacher, an early Facebook employee who later went on to co-found Cloudera. However, I think this needs a little bit of an adjustment. The best minds of my generation are thinking about how to make people click subscribe. CEOs, board members, shareholders, they all like predictable revenue streams, which means I like predictable revenue streams. I bet you do too. The best way to drive revenue of any kind, whether it be microtransactions, subscriptions, is really focusing on what makes your users happy. But how do you get a happy user? That's a really big and complicated question. I found the most effective way to do that is to actually ask your users. It sounds simple, but when you actually talk to them, they're going to tell you what they want. And this works at companies of all sizes, from a company with 100 users that's just getting started to a company with 100 million users. When you just ask them and use both qualitative and quantitative methods, that's where the magic is. So what I want to do is actually flip the script a little bit, put all of you in the user's shoes. So if you think like a user, it's easier to help provide value. So last year, there were 230 billion app downloads globally. So can we get a show of hands? Think about the last app that you downloaded. Who downloaded an app in the last 72 hours? Hands up, okay, keep them up. How about the last week? Okay, and finally, the last month. Okay, great, thank you for that. So I saw about 85–90% of the hands up, and I think that those of you that didn't put your hands up were probably too busy creating your own or promoting your own app to download a new one. What made you click download? Whenever that last app download was, What was the thing that really spoke to you? What made you go to the App Store? That's a lot of work. There's so many things that we can be doing online, and you actually navigated to the App Store and clicked download. You may have even handed over some money. So, as you're thinking about that, figure out what it was. Was there a value proposition that was there that was solving a problem? Was there something important that you wanted? For me, I downloaded an app, and it was one of the apps that helps you focus. There was a value proposition that spoke to me that was helpful, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in order to drive downloads and then purchases, you have to know what the features and benefits are that your users are after. So keep that in your mind as we go through the rest of the presentation. Whatever made you click download will also make your users click download. So you've most likely heard about the app before. On average, it takes 21 messages to reach a user. When you do messaging, does your app stand out? Does it stand out from the crowd? Does it cut through the noise? If we're all receiving messages, how does your app really connect with users? Digital marketing experts say that we each read 4,000 to 10,000 digital messages a day. So your campaign is just one in a sea of many. Make sure that you're really connecting with them and making sure that you stand out. So we're going to be using a 4-step framework. For each time that we go through the framework, I will show a new emoji. Pretty easy, pretty simple. First step, just ask. If you use quantitative and qualitative research methods, then you will be able to find where the magic is and actually have insights that will help you. And this will be different for each and every app in each and every vertical. Unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball, but hopefully this advice is almost as easy. Oftentimes, we don't ask users what they want. And then when we do take the time to slow down and ask, they're actually really happy and excited to talk to us. They're excited to share their ideas, thoughts, opinions, complaints, and of course, feature requests. Always feature requests. But you can look for trends in the feedback you're getting and then work to get in the product roadmap. For research goals, you want to start here and make sure that you're crystal clear on what you're trying to learn. Because if you're not crystal clear in the beginning, then you're not going to be able to find the information that you need. You'll get sidetracked really quickly, and you're going to find yourself at the end of your user research without the learnings you were hoping to get. Try and benchmark if there's interest in a particular feature. How much would they pay for that feature? Why would they pay for it? Is there a segment of users that would pay more or pay less for that feature? Should you offer a tiered offering or a single price point? Qualitative and quantitative are both really important. You can do surveys, you can do user interviews. Which one to start with? It's always the question. It actually depends on your current research, current data, and those research goals that we talked about. So it doesn't necessarily matter which one you pick because it will be different for each situation, but you want to validate. This comic shows a really great example of why you want to validate your user research if you do qualitative first and then quantitative or vice versa. So if you were just watching and you saw that 1 in 30 took an ice cream from the unattended free ice cream cart, you might think that people don't like ice cream anymore. However, if you validate that information with some qualitative research, you're going to find that users were actually excited and scared when they saw that unattended ice cream cart. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be taking ice cream from an unattended cart. Well, unless it was one of those seasonal flavors from Salt and Straw, then maybe. Step 2, science. We're going to do a little science experiment. The thing that's important about this is you can't just take that user research and build anything your users want. You're going to end up building a bunch of stuff, and it's not going to be moving the company forward. So what we're going to do is a science experiment. We're going to take your user research and the business goals. I don't know what your company calls them. They might be KPIs, OKRs, MBOs, SMART goals. It doesn't actually matter which type of goals your organization is using. What you want to do is align your user research findings with the company goals. When you combine them together, it produces a reaction that's magic, and that's where you can really move the needle for your users and for your company. Okay, step 3. I want to ask you to get creative. At this point, you've validated your user research and your company goals, and you've married them together. But that's not enough. You have to add your expertise. This is where you come in. You have to ask questions and make sure that you're going the right direction. Is your company building something that's aligned with this? Is this the future that you're here to create? Maybe, maybe not. But that's why you need to look at all of this and think creatively. Think outside of the box. Think about different ways to solve the same problem. I know we're all familiar with, as a user, XYZ, and definitely use that. Look at that, but make sure you also add, as the monetization expert, what would you like to see, and how would you like to see it? There's a quote that's commonly attributed to Henry Ford, and it is, "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse." However, I don't know about you all, but I wasn't about to ride a horse, no matter how fast, on 101 into today's summit. Not gonna happen. So, once we've added your expertise and really validated the direction, now you want to get on the product roadmap. This can be challenging. It's one of the most tricky things to do. It can feel like you're walking through a labyrinth alone. You can feel like you're unsupported. You can feel like there's no way to get on that roadmap because every team is asking for engineering time. But my biggest advice for this is don't do it alone. What you want to do is actually talk to your team and share your idea and the opportunity, and of course the upside and the impact on your users. Get your team excited, and then take your new coalition that you've formed with your team and expand. Go talk to cross-functional partners, get their buy-in and excitement. And once you have that, you're gonna start a big wave of communication. People are gonna be talking about your feature, and they're gonna be excited about the upside. Then take your coalition, you've already sold people in on what you're looking to do, on an internal public relations tour. Make sure you tell everyone you speak to, in every meeting you're in, about what feature you're trying to build and the impact on those users. If you're not sick of saying your message, then you're not saying it enough. Say it again and again and again. Because, like we talked about before, it on average takes 21 messages to reach a user. Internally, it's not that much different. So, say it until you're sick of it, and you might find yourself on the product roadmap. Engineering time is money. It's very expensive. Throughout all the startups I've been at, there's never enough of it. And so that's why you need this coalition and this wave of communication internally to get people excited. And once you do that, then you're gonna find yourself in a position where you're able to get on the roadmap and get that value to your users. A couple tips that I found that worked for me to get on the product roadmap at Together Labs is having a clear, supported data plan. You wanna make sure you're asking for a very specific feature, and you wanna make sure that it's connected to the business objectives. Then, of course, calculate that ROI. When you've got a nice big number here, that's when you're gonna get the attention. So commonly people think this is how it's supposed to go. Product roadmap, and then we're gonna figure out how to monetize it. That's not wrong, but I think there's a better way of doing it. It should be a circle. They should influence each other. The product roadmap should influence the monetization strategy, and then the monetization strategy should influence the product roadmap. When these two things are married together, that's when you can really move the needle. So just remember, 4-step framework. Step number 1, just ask your users. Use quantitative and qualitative research methods. Step 2, do a little bit of science. Combine your findings with your business goals, and then get creative. Add your expertise here, and then get on the product roadmap. And that's when you can really deliver value. So at this point, you're on the product roadmap, you're a stakeholder. Wait for the development process, make sure the features are exactly what your users wanted, and that you can monetize them. Of course, through this time, I know you'll be making a world-class go-to-market with your marketing colleagues, and then all you do is wait for release day. Then profit. Rake in that money month over month as you provide value to your users, and you'll make your users happy, and then your company's happy. Are there any questions? All right, sounds good. I'll be around, so if you have any questions about leveraging user research, come chat with me. Thank you.